Aloha, dear friends. God is most glorious. Welcome to the Sunday morning devotional program sponsored by the Spiritual Assemblies of the Baha'is of South DeKalb County and Sandy Springs, Georgia. So wonderful to have all of you with us today. You know, across the globe, the teachings of the Baha'i faith brought to us more than 150 years ago by His Holiness Baha'u'llah, its founder, and whose name in Arabic means the glory of God. His teachings have inspired and continue to inspire individuals and communities as they strive to improve their own lives and contribute to the advancement of civilization. Baha'i beliefs address such essential themes as the oneness of God and His religion, the oneness of humanity and freedom from all forms of prejudice, the inherent nobility of the human being, the progressive revelation of religious truth, a gradual unfolding of God's purpose with the appearance of each divine teacher, the development of spiritual qualities, which allows us to reflect the image God made us in, the integration of worship and service, with work performed in the spirit of service actually being accounted as worship in the eyes of God, the fundamental equality of the sexes more widely evidenced in a setting of equal opportunity, the harmony between religion and science as an established fact, the centrality of justice in all human endeavor, the importance of education, particularly for children, and the dynamics of the relationships that strive to bind together individuals, communities, and institutions as humanity advances towards its collective maturity. Friends, you know, we've been having amazing programs each and every week, and today we plan to continue that tradition. We're pleased to have you join us again. Welcome. We'll begin with opening devotions, followed by a video presentation. So please mute yourselves if you're not speaking, and kindly silence any electronic devices. Thank you. Kathy?
Say, God sufficeth all things above all things, and nothing in the heavens or in the earth but God sufficeth. Verily, He is in Himself the knower, the sustainer, the omnipotent, the Bob.
Thank you, Kathy. Elizabeth?
I beg thy forgiveness, O my God, and implore pardon after the manner thou wishest thy servants to direct themselves to thee. I beg of thee to wash away our sins as befitteth thy lordship, and to forgive me, my parents, and those who in thy estimation have entered the abode of thy love in a manner which is worthy of thy transcendent sovereignty, and well beseemeth the glory of thy celestial power. O my God, thou hast inspired my soul to offer its supplication to thee, and but for thee, I would not call upon thee. Lauded and glorified art thou. I yield thee praise, inasmuch as thou didst reveal thyself unto me, and I beg thee to forgive me, since I have fallen short in my duty to know thee, and have failed to walk in the path of thy love. The Bob.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Debbie?
I have risen this morning by thy grace, O my God, and left my home trusting wholly in thee and committing myself to thy care. Send down then upon me out of the heaven of thy mercy a blessing from thy side, and enable me to return home in safety, even as thou didst enable me to set out under thy protection with my thoughts fixed steadfastly upon thee. There is none other God but thee, the one, the incomparable, the all-knowing, the all-wise, Baha'u'llah.
Thank you, Debbie. Kathy?
My God, whom I worship and adore, I bear witness unto thy unity and thy oneness, and acknowledge thy gifts both in the past and in the present. Thou art the all-bountiful, the overflowing showers of whose mercy have rained down upon high and low alike, and the splendors of whose grace have been shed over both the obedient and the rebellious. O God of mercy, before whose door the quintessence of mercy hath bowed down, and round the sanctuary of whose cause loving kindness in its inmost spirit hath circled, we beseech thee, entreating thine ancient grace, and seeking thy present favor, that thou mayest have mercy upon all who are the manifestations of the world of being, and deny them not the outpourings of thy grace in thy days. All are but poor and needy, and thou verily art the all-possessing, the all-subduing, the all-powerful. Baha'u'llah.
Thank you, Kathy. Elizabeth?
O God, my God, shield thy trusted servants from the evils of self and passion. Protect them with the watchful eye of thy loving kindness from all rancor, hate, and envy. Shelter them in the impregnable stronghold of thy care, and safe from the darts of doubtfulness. Make them the manifestations of thy glorious signs. Illumine their faces with the effulgent rays shed from the dayspring of thy divine unity. Gladden their hearts with the verses revealed from thy holy kingdom. Strengthen their loins by thine all-swaying power that cometh from thy realm of glory. Thou art the all-bountiful, the protector, the mighty, the gracious. Abdu'l-Baha.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Debbie?
O Lord, enable all the peoples of the earth to gain admittance into the paradise of thy faith, so that no created being may remain beyond the bounds of thy good pleasure. From this immemorial, thou hast potent to do what pleaseth thee, and transcendent above whatsoever thou desirest. The Bab.
Thank you. Kathy?
This is the day in which the testimony of the Lord hath been fulfilled, the day in which the word of God hath been made manifest, and his evidence firmly established. His voice is calling you unto that which shall profit you, and enjoineth you to observe that which shall draw you nigh unto God, the Lord of revelation. Baha'u'llah.
Thank you, Kathy. Elizabeth?
He is the all-glorious. O ye friends of the beloved, the candle of guidance is burning, and the light shining from the supreme horizon adorneth every assemblage. The showers of grace are pouring down, and the bestowals of the unseen kingdom are abundant. The angelic voice is raised in song, and the birds of the garden warble the songs of David. The musk-scented breeze sheddeth its fragrance, and the gentle wind wafting from the garden of roses reviveth the souls of the righteous. Yet the heedless are as dead, and the ignorant fast asleep. The wavering souls are withered, and the chilled hearts downcast. For the sun lighteth the eyes of the seeing, not of the blind. The songs of David transport the spirits of the hearing, not of the deaf. And the nectar of eternity is sweet in the mouths of those with taste, not of the dead.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Debbie? Are you speaking, Debbie? You're muted if you are.
Okay, sorry, I lost my place.
No problem.
Dearly beloved friends, though the task be long and arduous, yet the prize which the all-bountiful bestower has chosen to confer upon you is of such preciousness that neither tongue nor pen can be fittingly appraise it. Though the goal towards which you are so strenuously striving be distant and as yet undisclosed to men's eyes, yet its promise lies firmly embedded in the authoritative and unalterable utterances of Baha'u'llah. Though the course he has traced for you seems at times lost in the threatening shadows with which a stricken humanity is now enveloped, yet the unfailing light he has caused to shine continually upon you is of such brightness that no earthly dusk can ever eclipse its splendor.
Thank you for that, Debbie. And thank you all for reading. Okay, friends, it's now time for the healing prayer. We're just going to read the prayer this morning. So if any of you wish to remember a loved one through the prayer for healing, please feel free to call out their name at this time. Josie Reynolds.
Elon Bowers and Joel Smith.
Barbara Saku, Colleen O'Hare,
Dr. Beth Bowen.
Joe Barker.
Yes. Bradley Wright Hewlett and Ayanna Fletcher.
Rick Fable and Jess Wasco, and my brother.
Thy name is my healing, O my God, and remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Baha'u'llah. Now, friends, at this time, we're blessed to have a video presentation. So, Barbara?
We're doing a song written in 1830 something.
1834.
Really?
No.
You know that?
Yeah.
And but made famous by Mississippi John Hurt in
46.
No,
43.
I'll do. Okay.
glory, glory. Hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down, Lord, burden down, Lord. Since I laid my burden down, Lord, burden down, Lord. Since I laid my burden down, I feel better, so much better. Since I laid my burden down, I feel better, so much better. Since I laid my burden down. Glory, 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 glory. Hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory. Hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Since I laid my burden down. Oh, since I laid my burden down. Since I laid my burden down.
That was beautiful. Robert, I want you to send me the link to that so I can use it for Race Amity.
Okay, no.
Thank you. Well, friends, every week we're blessed to have a guest presenter to come and share with us their insights on a particular topic. And this week we're honored to have back with us once again, Leo Duque. Leo, would you care to share a little bit about yourself?
Well,
Like the community to know.
I had the blessing to learn about the Baha'i faith in Chicago. We met at the temple. I was born in obscurity. I was atheist since I left high school. But I was searching very deeply in different ideologies, different in poetry, music, in whatever, in among yogis, everywhere. And it was very hard not to believe in God. It was very hard. But I didn't see, I was raised as believing that I was a bad human being. I was a sinner. I was raised not being able to study with girls because we were bad human beings and they were the cause of the original sin. For us, we were prohibited to read the Bible. Only the priest had the right to read the Bible and the capacity, the intellectual capacity to read the Bible. So all of these things led me to not to believe in religion. Yes, it was hard to grow up not knowing that there were values, even though I was taught. I attended the primary and secondary schools in a Catholic school. I don't remember being taught about virtues and qualities. At the age of 24, I believe, I learned about that being in university. So this seems very important. And I started again looking into religion as an option. And for blessings of God, I attended a private university from the company I was working for in New York. this was a private university for all the staff from all over the world for this company in the outskirts of Chicago. And on a weekend, I called a cousin of mine and his wife to take me out of there, of this place, and we went around Chicago.
Turn your volume up a little bit.
We went around Chicago, and I saw the temple, and I asked them, "What is that?" And they say it's a Baha'i temple, and it is. What is Baha'i? I say, "No, we don't know." So I asked them to please take me there, and he said, "Next weekend I will take you there." And I said, "No, please take me now." Somehow the beauty of that temple attracted my heart, and we went there, and there was a PowerPoint. No, it was PowerPoint. No PowerPoint in those days. That was 44 years ago, 1974. No more. Okay, that was 27 years ago, 26, 27 years ago, 46 years ago. So that was a slideshow, just quotes from Baha'u'llah and Abdul Bahas, most likely, and beautiful pictures of nature. And I started crying like a little baby. It was so beautiful and so powerful. And when the doors were open, the bookstore was open, and I bought many books. I mean, a lot of books. And the person there was very surprised, and she asked me, "Are you a Baha'i?" No, I'm just curious about this religion. And that same day, I started praying. And that changed my heart. It took me several years of reading and reflecting about the huge change that I have to make in my life. But by the grace of God, finally, I decided, well, this seems to be the right path. And one of the things that attracted me the most was the harmony between science and religion. And since then, I have been working on this field.
Okay, that's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Friends, today, Leo's going to talk to us about the root cause of racial discrimination. So I'm going to turn it over to him. Welcome, Leo.
Thank you, Hermione. Before I start, I want to send my email. It is in the chat. I want to share with you a book that I'm about to publish. I'm just finishing the corrections given to me by the review office of the National Assembly. This is my fourth book about science and religion. The title of this book is it time for men to consider, accept, and encourage women's superiority? And it includes different methods of science to approach and solve reality. And one of them is the root cause and the destiny of everything. And that's why studying that method, I said, well, this seems to be very, very important to address the racial discrimination issue of the US, the biggest challenge for us. And also, there is something in there that is very important. The lesser peace in the world. The many goals that we have as a global community is dependent of these issues. Yes. Racial discrimination has been huge in agriculture, and the book is about that. Yes. And and the role of women in discovering agriculture, and of course the a scientific approach to the different methods of science. And I have offered to you guys to study this method explicitly, this method in the context of that book, and I will love to learn from all of you, because this seems to be a very important thing be done, but we have to learn from each other. And I humbly think I have to learn from all of you. So I will present what I presented 3 weeks ago, and well, just think about the possibility that we can study this course in Zoom meetings. We can organize at the end, if you are interested in addressing this issue. I would be very happy to do that and learn from you. I have always learned from my students and from my kids. They have taught me a lot, all of them. Okay, can you share the screen with me, please? Hermia, can you share the screen with me?
You're able to share.
Okay. Oh, where is my PowerPoint? I need to share my screen. Oh. But I don't have. Oh, okay. I have it here. Okay. So there are many ways to solve a problem. Yeah, we have an exploratory method of science. There is the formative method of science, which has to be with love as the foundation. The qualitative method of science and the material cause. Here we see how the material world and the spiritual world are fused. This method that we will talk about, just introducing it, is the destiny method of science. Also, we have seen how through legislation, through laws, which explain why the laws are inherent to all created things, and the laws of God, of course, are inherent to all created things. We have tried to address this problem of society, has tried to address this problem of racial discrimination. So that's another approach. Of course, many people relate their experiences and had served as a motor, as an engine to move society towards approaching this issue. We listened very attentively what happened to George Floyd and to many others, and we know how hard this experience had been for all of us. And of course, at the very end of this whole cycle, we propose solutions to this problem. So the course that I have about racial discrimination, I can send also to you, which cover all these other areas. And the destiny method of science should be the most important topic in that book that I want to explore with you how to do it. but I will send both documents to whoever wants the new book and this course that I developed in 2008. So let's move on. These are twins. These two couples are twins. Can Elizabeth read, please?
When Bobby and Riley George were born 30 minutes apart, with light skin, curly hair, and brown eyes, there was no doubting they were twins. Was expecting twins. Doctors said there was a 1 in a million chance that the babies created by two separate eggs would have a different skin tone. Then what's the problem?
Okay. Let's look at the problem. I believe this is the big problem. Any approach to solve a world issue is related to many other teachings. Problem solving of social issues without a clear conception of what is a human being becomes very difficult. So to start a meaningful conversation with anybody, I believe the concept of human being is an important thing to be addressed. And in my book, I really, for each method of science, I establish a correlation with the different faculties of a human being to approach that specific method of science. So we can talk about that later on.
The reality of man is his thought, not his material body. The thought force and the animal force are partners. Although man is part of the animal creation, he possesses a power of thought superior to all other created beings.
So, okay, the first phrase here is what is important for what I'm going to say. The reality of man is his thought, not his material body. So let's look at the racial discrimination issue. Oh, no.
Should I read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kathy or somebody else to read.
Okay. I'll read.
Go ahead,
Kathy.
I just wanted to share a reflection. Is that where you want me to start?
Yes, I have been working in a doctoral program for the Baha'is in Iran about public health.
Okay.
Public health promotion, we were talking about the determinants of health, and I wrote to these friends that for me the most meaningful determinant of health is the conception of human being, and I sent this list. Okay, go ahead.
What is the concept of a human being, child, woman, man, among the mullahs in Iran? What is a human being among merchants in the bazaars of Iran and among government officials at the national, regional, provisional, and local levels? What is the concept of a human being among teachers and professors in Iran? What is a human being among the military in Iran and among scientists in Iran and among managers and engineers in industries? What is a human being among drug dealers, human traffickers, and alcohol smugglers? I believe that the right to health access and to prevent any risk that may affect health, the desire to serve the masses by empowering them with educational programs of health promotion, the allocation of resources to provide good quality health to the impoverished masses, peasants, and laborers. The faith in the spiritual nature and dignity of a human being is crucial for those willing to care for others. And the willingness to continue doing it during their lifetime are dependent on the conception of what is a human being. Just considering women, 50% of the population discriminated against in Iran, and their health is affected.
Here in Atlanta, I met with a few teachers and professors, and they were surprised when I asked them, what is the concept of human beings that you have? I think we shouldn't reduce this in the US about the conception of human being in the police departments. Teachers, professors also in universities should be willing to study what is a human being. And let's try to agree on that concept. On what is a human being? What is a woman? These are important topics that I think. Let's continue thinking about the above quote. If somebody thinks that race exists, then they do exist, because the reality of man is a thought. If somebody thinks that there are no races in the human kingdom, then they don't exist for that human being. What rationality supports each of those thoughts? In the first case, we have at least one person from a different race. In the second case, for the author of the thought, it is irrational to believe that skin color is not an important feature to take into account in order to define race from a taxonomical perspective. For him, her, it's also rational to believe that the tendency of the evolutionary process is diversity of colors, not homogeneity. For him, her, it's also rational to believe that he, she does not consider himself, herself inferior to others, but a noble human being, endowed with virtues and defects, potentialities and limitations, and noble aspirations and low passions. He, she knows that the battle is with himself, herself, not against others. So this is what I believe is important to talk about when we're talking about racial discrimination. So what happened in the United States during the Civil War, 1861, 1865, which main cause was slavery in the plantations? Can you read, please? Kathy, Debbie, or
410 years, the number stood as gospel, 618,222 men died in the Civil War, 360,222 from the North, and 258,000 from the South. By far the greatest toll of any war in American history. By combining through newly digitized census data from the 19th century, J. David Hacker, a historian from Binghamton University in New York, has recalculated the death toll and increased it by more than 20% to 750,000.
okay. So slavery in the plantation was the main cause. They just wanted to keep doing what they were doing for many years. This is Rwanda in the Africa, a genocide. These are people running away from being killed. Let's read, please.
Upon first entering the region, German colonizers rationalized subjugation of Rwanda's large Hutu population under the flawed assumption that the Tutsi were more Caucasian and thus more fit to rule. The Belgian colony occupation had a much more lasting effect in Rwanda. The most lasting effect was how the colonial authorities racialized the differences between Hutu, Tutsi, and Tutsi. Rwanda gained independence from Belgium in 1962, but the post-colonial period was marred by ethnically motivated violence. This violence culminated into the 1994 Rwandan genocide, in which more than 800,000 Tutsi people were killed, including thousands of Hutu people who were either part of the opposition or who had refused to take part in the killings.
Okay. So these were farmers. Ones were cattle growers and the other were just farmers. But this prejudice uh, caused the whole problem. Not easy. Because these are facts. And somehow we have to imagine, how are we going to present these ideas to others? So they start searching in their own souls how they are going to address this towards the future.
Well, I guess just my first thought is ask who you're talking to, what do you think's the cause of racial prejudice? Racial
No.
prejudice. And then bring up some of these ideas that you just presented. See what they say. Do you think you're prejudiced? And what do you think the cause is? That's how to start it, maybe.
That sounds good. I think that's a good way to introduce it. Yeah. Yeah. And we can start with the concept. What is a human being for
Oh,
people
yeah.
for people who discriminate? Because where did they get this idea that they are superior?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What? Because there is no science and there is no religion that support blind imitation. Yeah, what is the source of your belief in prejudice? There is no religion that says that is a valid way to approach reality. Blind imitation. And science, of course, that is not at all. Yeah.
Most people, if you ask them, though, they will say they are not prejudiced.
Yeah, I
Know that they are.
well, that's true too. I imagine. Yes. Yes. But also, let me say something. I think I have read and studied people who talk about prejudice. I mean, about among those discriminated, also have less problems with blood pressure, and also because when they talk about it with others and they share their fears, their thoughts, it's good to talk about these things, and somehow it improves their health. And feeling inferior is something that we have to address too, because for somebody to understand that blind imitation doesn't have any support for feeling inferior also. Yes, we have to share with them that there is no nothing to support such a such an attitude of discriminate others. Yeah. So not for the one who believes that he or she is superior, but not for the one who feels he or she is inferior, because there is no support for that. Just let's acknowledge it and let's say, well, I'm not inferior from anybody.
Isn't money about it part of it though too? I know with the Civil War, having free labor with the slaves, that was money in the master's pocket.
Yes.
And I think that's true today also. This, there's a lot of talk about immigrants coming here from Mexico, but the truth of the matter is, farmers love it because they need those workers to work the fields, because most people don't want to do that kind of work. But then they don't even want to pay them. They won't pay these workers a living wage. Because a lot of it's about money.
That's absolutely right. And that is one topic of my book. Uh, uh, I have done a lot of research worldwide about agriculture. Because of Fundaec, I was invited by Dr. Abad to work in Fundaec in 1978. And it was a blessing to work with him. Later on, I went to Costa Rica, and then my father passed away. A counselor told me, go back and help your mother. A service to the parents is a service to God. So my wife and I decided that it was okay for us to leave Costa Rica and go back to Colombia. And again, I was invited by Dr. Abad to work with him. And I became very, very interested in the rural areas. Fundaec was established because of the receptivity of the Afro-Colombian, the receptivity towards the Fed by Afro-Colombian population. And I think this is part of the pupil of the eye, that receptivity of the Afro-Colombians. And I just fell in love with the way Dr. Abad guided the research on the real world. And the displacement of population today is huge, and the economic models against farmers is huge, against small farmers. And that's the topic of my book, and it's a prerequisite to reach the lesser peace, to address the problems of the farmers in the world. And for that to be done, we need women to be at the forefront. I will leave you that there, and the first chapter of my book is about that. I will send it to whoever writes to me, send me an email. I will forward that and the document about racial discrimination, and we can form a study group about that as a consequence of this. Let's keep going.
After introducing our conversation with the argument that the concept of human being is the most meaningful determinant of social unrest, can we rationally deliver a meaningful support of why war's main cause is prejudice and the root cause of imitation? He or she became a copycat, a clone to behave the same way.
I think somehow we have to tell them that they have become a clone, a copycat, and that, that there is no root, solid uh, support of what's going on. Out front, I mean, with kindness, but we, it could be indirectly, we can say, well, those who believe in, in discriminating others are just have just been cloned.
As Baha'is, we should consciously polish our spiritual and moral values, and only those social values that are worth of being preserved. The master
Because
said, okay,
that's another thing. They want to preserve all these statues of these Civil War personalities. I mean, why to keep those? What is the value? Are they worth it being preserved? Are the names of these big forts of the army? Should we keep doing that in honor of these guys? I don't know. I think we shouldn't. Those are no social values worth it of being preserved.
here is a something in, I believe it's the story of Lot, where he was leaving um, the land that had to be destroyed due to the evils, and
Mhm.
his wife turned around and looked behind her and became a pillar of salt. And I think that that's true today. If we look behind us, all we are is a pillar of salt because we are bringing forward those same horrible ideas that have
Mhm.
imprisoned so many.
Yes.
So I think it's a good idea to not be a pillar of salt.
Mhm.
Look
Let's
forward. Thoughts are things, and uh, if we can keep our thought forward and also be in the present, the past is nothing but a collection of thoughts that we don't have to entertain now. They're over.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's read the quote of the master.
Okay, the master said, throughout the animal and vegetable kingdoms, there is perfect equality between the sexes. In the kingdom of mankind, this equality must likewise exist. And the one whose heart is purest, whose life and character are highest and nearest to the divine standard, is most worthy and excellent in the sight of God. This is the only true and real distinction between that one man or woman.
Yeah. Be that one man or woman. Yeah. So that's the distinction that is important. The rest is superficial.
Is there something else to turn the situation into a spiritual battle for the oppressor and the oppressed?
This is important because to reach a higher destiny, as we are all supposed to be, we have those who don't discriminate also have a spiritual battle. All of us have a spiritual battle, okay? And that's the most important battle, okay?
It is
The,
impossible. Oh, God.
look, this is a requisite for the conversation with somebody else. Let's listen to these quotes. Go ahead.
It is impossible to consider this life apart from the future life. It is all one great whole. The thought of what is to come after death is not only of great comfort in times of earthly stress and suffering, but is also a powerful influence toward right conduct in this life. Abdul Baha has said that Without this vision of the next life, there cannot be enough incentive to ethical action here. The rewards and punishments which are assigned here for our actions are as nothing to the more important results of our earthly deeds, which come to us in the hereafter.
Okay. So up to now, we have the idea of having a discussion about the concept of human being. That is clear that the root cause of discrimination is imitation and has been the cause of wars. And in this conversation also, it's very important to mention this belief, these quotes, because I have been impressed with this. It is not enough incentive to ethical action here if we don't talk about reckoning. I mean, we won't have enough force to present our deeds once we pass away. So it's really an encouragement to behave well.
We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay. Is there something else to turn the situation into a spiritual battle for the oppressor and the oppressed? The important thing is each one of us is unique. And that is very important. Each one of us has a unique path towards reaching our destiny.
The science of snowflakes and why no two are alike says, and though it may appear otherwise, the arms of a snowflake are not perfectly symmetrical. If you look at the dendritic arms of a snowflake carefully, they usually are a bit different, Hallett said. The atmosphere is a turbulent place, and crystals tend to oscillate as they are blown around, so even different corners see slightly different environments. So is it really true that no two snowflakes are alike? It's like shuffling a deck and getting the exact same shuffle for 52 cards, the Rock said. You could shuffle every second for the entire life of the universe, and you would not come close to getting two of the same.
Let me look for the quote. Look, this is from the Universal House of Justice. Each individual is unique and has a unique path to tread in his lifetime. In exposing the Baha'i faith, you have defined the direction of that path for your recognition of God's manifestation for this day and your devotion to his message. Provide the spiritual and ethical basis for all aspects of your life and service to humankind, while the continuing guidance that he has provided for the community of his followers enables you to know the directions in which the most effort is required at the present time. So that unique path is tied to the destiny of America, to the destiny of the world. So we as Baha'is, that uniqueness of our destiny and our higher destiny depends of what we do in this life in the context of the situation of the world and the problems of the world and the problems of America. We cannot separate our destiny, our personal destiny, from the destiny of the cause. That's what this quote tells me very clearly. And there are other quotes very important. Anyway, just to finish, let me present the seven. Oh, this is beautiful. I didn't have time. I will send to you guys this PowerPoint presentation today. And if you are interested in forming a study group, we can do that. Let's read this quote to finish. This is the guidance of Abdul Baha to address the problem.
That divine world is manifestly a world of light. Therefore, man has need of illumination here. That is a world of love. The love of God is essential. It is a world of perfections. Virtues or perfections must be acquired. That world is vivified by the breath of the Holy Spirit. In this world, we must seek them. That is the kingdom of everlasting life. It must be attained during this vanishing existence. By what means can man acquire these things? How shall he obtain these merciful gifts and powers? First, through the knowledge of God. Second, through the love of God. Third, through the faith. Fourth, through philanthropic deeds. Fifth, through self-sacrifice. Sixth, through servants from this world, severance from this world. Seven, through sanctity and holiness. Unless he acquires these forces and attains to these requirements, he will surely be deprived of the life that is eternal.
Okay. So this is the method that I want us to study and understand how we can accompany if the other person accepts it, because this is a private business. I mean, that spiritual battle is a private business, and we shouldn't confess to others, and we shouldn't finger point to others. But if somebody wants to be accompanied in this search for the Baha'i faith and how can he or she overcome this prejudice, we are willing to do it. Telling her that or him that this is a private business, he should try to do it by himself. But if he wants to share it with somebody who can address or help him or her address the problem properly, then we can do that. We are allowed to do that. We can read quotes about this too. So this is, in general ways, what I have to offer. And thank you for coming today. Thank you so much. And this is my last to be continued if you wish. I'm thankful to God for the privilege to serve his cause and his servants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leo. We appreciate that. It was wonderful. We do have a couple of minutes for a couple of questions. If anybody has any questions or comments based on what he shared with us today about this root cause of discrimination.
I just never thought about it. I mean, it's just absolute the truth. I would have never thought it that was the reason, but it makes sense. I never understood before why people were prejudiced.
Are you referring to the imitation part or?
Yeah, the imitation part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Fear has a lot to do with it also, though. We're afraid of each other because we don't know each other. Because my skin is black and yours is white. and we have not spent enough time with each other, so we're afraid.
Hmm. Yes.
But the lies that were said, as a child growing up about people of different races, not being as intelligent, not this, not that, and it's just all a bunch of lies.
It's kind of funny in a way. I was one of those poor black kids that had to go to a white school and live in the right neighborhood. And it's really kind of funny. I remember one day, one of the kids, this was in second grade, I think, was passing out birthday party invitations to everybody in the class except me. And she said, I'm sorry, but my mommy says you can't come because you're colored. In those days, we were colored. So it's taught by parents. A lot of times they don't mean it, but they teach it to their children, and they have them all, like say in the Baha'i writings, the mother is the first educator. If we could get mothers to stop teaching their children to be afraid of people who don't look just like them, then maybe we can stop this.
Yeah. Look at this problem. 40% of the workforce of the planet are farmers, not in the US. In the US, it's very low, the number of farmers. But the discrimination against farmers is huge. Yes. So that is the topic of my book, and we have to talk about how important agriculture is to generate employment in the world. To generate employment in the world. Let's put it this way. Penicillin is a fungi. Yeah? There is between 600 and 6 million species of fungi. Insects. If you ask in a seminar with farmers about how many insects, beneficial insects there are, they mention a few scores. But there is 1 million species of insects. We don't know the potential of them. And recently, a lady discovered a larva of a moth who eats plastic bags. Yeah. Another lady in Taiwan, I believe, or in Taiwan, somebody discovered a beetle larva who eats a styrofoam. Both of which scientific science has said it's impossible to find something to degrade these materials. So in the book, I show a lot of these things as to show there is a way to address all these problems. But we have to address the problem against farmers. Yes. So we can talk about that later on. Thank you so
I'm
much.
thinking that's all the time that we're going to have for today. We
Thank
thank
you, Hermione.
Leo for this, as usual, brilliant presentation. And everyone can check the chat to either put their information in or to get Leo's information so that you can access his presentation further.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, do we have any guests that are visiting or from out of town or never been here before? If so, feel free to share how you happen to be with us today. And if not, we just have a couple of quick announcements. The first would be our upcoming speakers. For next week, we have Steve Zaludek, who will be back with us next Sunday, 13th, and then Ruha Sobani on the 20th, and Counselor Nwandi Lawson, the 27th. So be sure to stop in for more outstanding presentations. You should see some details coming up this week. And please remember the food distribution program every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Baha'i Unity Center in the parking lot. Please do spread the word to help combat food insecurity within the community. And for members of the Baha'i faith, you're warmly encouraged to make a financial contribution to the South DeKalb Baha'i Fund, the Sandy Springs Baha'i Fund, and the National Baha'i Fund through the online contribution system. Or you can feel free to mail a check to the Baha'i Unity Center at 2370 Wesley Chapel Road, Decatur, Georgia, 335. Right now, we'd like to say many thanks to everybody who helped to work together to make today's program possible, including our beloved speaker, our lovely volunteer readers, Barbara Hennix, who keeps us moving forward, the spiritual assemblies of South DeKalb County and Sandy Springs. And thanks to all of you for sharing your day with us. I'm Hermione Pickens. It's been a pleasure. And until next time, stay safe and well. We are going to close with a prayer for the departed, Barbara.
Haven't chose anyone to read it.
Okay, I will just say the short prayer for the departed. O my God, O thou forgiver of sins, bestower of gifts, dispeller of afflictions. Verily, I beseech thee to forgive the sins of such as have abandoned the physical garment and have ascended to the spiritual world. O my Lord, purify them from trespasses, dispel their sorrows and change their darkness into light. Cause them to enter the garden of happiness. Cleanse them with the most pure water and grant them to behold thy splendors on the loftiest mount, Abdul Baha. Well, friends, hopefully we can get to see you again next week. So much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Hello.
Allah Baba.
Thank you, Lisa.
Aloha.
Thank you,
Allah
everybody.
Baba.
Gracias, Baha.